Good evening, I'm Lori Getter. President Bush arrived in the capital city shortly after 1 to take part in a giant centennial rally.
I'm Kevin Devine. Bush also held a national press conference before he left, and despite the cool, wet weather, thousands of people showed up to get a peek at the president. In sports, for the third week in a row, a Carroll College football player is the Frontier Conference Player of the Week. Channel 12 News Today is next.
This is the news. News today from your capital news station, Channel 12.
Good evening, everyone. President Bush arrived in Helena today, the first seated president in more than 39 years to visit the capital city. Air Force One landed at 1:16, about 15 minutes late, but still hundreds of people were there to greet him. A stream of cars lined Skyway Drive in front of the Helena airport, hoping to catch a glimpse of the 41st President of the United States. Bush received a big sky welcome from several dignitaries, including Governor and Mrs. Stevens and Mayor Russ Ritter. Stevens says it's an honor to have the President visit Helena during the centennial celebration.
Well, it means a lot to all of us in Montana. This is a very inspirational, kind of a historical day for us. The last president to visit Helena, I'm told, was President Truman. But in our centennial year, to have a presidential visit, it's just a crowning achievement, and we're just so proud and honored that he's coming.
10 minutes after arriving, the nation's chief executive, the governor, and Senator Conrad Burns were whisked away in the presidential limousine headed for the Capitol. When Bush arrived at the Capitol, there were over 18,000 people waiting to catch a glimpse and to listen to the President of the United States. Teresa Daggett was on hand for the big event.
The security helicopter flying overhead alerted the crowd to the president's arrival. The press came running in, and then more press. The director of the Environmental Protection Agency, William Riley, then U.S. Senator from Montana, Conrad Burns, and then finally, the President of the United States, accompanied by Governor Stan Stevens.
That it is a great pleasure for me to be back in this great state. Happy birthday, 100.
The president acknowledged the beauty and vastness of Montana and told the crowd we must preserve the beauty of our state by working together to stop pollution.
We hold this land in trust for the generations that come after. The air and the earth are riches we simply cannot squander. 100 years ago, Montana was a land where man sought the treasure that lay beneath the earth, and today it's the land itself we treasure, a living legacy we must preserve and pass along.
He also said all ocean dumping will be eliminated by 1991 and threatened severe fines for anyone who did so. He also introduced a new program where the Peace Corps will work in conjunction with the EPA on pollution issues, something he said we all must band together to stop.
We're living in historic times, but we must do everything in our power to protect the environment.
Continuing on to the House chambers to address members of both the State House and Senate, Bush changed his theme and asked the legislators to help in the fight against drugs and create a better place to educate our youth.
The plain truth is that our educational system is not making the grade. And in a recent comparison of 13-year-old students in the United States and 5 other nations, America placed last in mathematics and near last in science.
He said it was a better place 100 years ago when the pioneers were teaching students because the ideas and rules came from the local level.
When it comes to education, I really feel strongly Washington does not know best. The people do. And nowhere is that truer than here in the American West, where local values and school autonomy are as revered as love of freedom and love of country.
Today, the president emphasized the importance of the local level. He says Washington, D.C. doesn't know all, and locally we must work together to better educate our students. Also, locally we must fight pollution so we can have a better environment worldwide. For Channel 12 News Today, I'm Teresa Daggett.
Today's presidential visit not only provided an opportunity for Montanans to see our nation's leader in person, but also to show the rest of the country the sights and sounds of Montana's capital city. Mark Garay was in the crowd this afternoon and talked with folks who showed up to offer the president a taste of Montana hospitality.
If President Bush's visit to Helena was the main attraction, perhaps the untold story was the thousands of people who gathered to hear his words of wisdom. There's a festive mood here with just an hour left before the president arrives. Most people are exuberant at the idea of seeing our nation's leader. Still others feel this visit represents a unique opportunity for Montanans to show off big sky country.
You get 150 pressmen and tell me. I mean, I would hope that, you know, if they're here and they get a good look at Montana and Helena and, you know, anything else, they'll spend time here and they'll want to come back.
It's cool. It's really neat.
What makes it so cool?
Because we're from Montana, like nowhere. Nobody ever comes up here that's important.
Do you think this trip is a long time coming?
I'm glad to see him here. Every time we get national attention, why it helps the state of Montana and the people.
Well, I think it'll help the economy a little bit, and I think at least give us some publicity that we kind of need.
The president's late arrival was perhaps expected by the voluminous crowd. White House officials said this gathering was among the most orderly they had seen in some time. Centennial event organizers estimated the crowd at over 12,000, while more than 40 buses carrying school children and state officials sandwiched the Capitol on all four sides. The crowd seemed more intent on listening to the president's message than cheering every stirring phrase he made. Bush's speech lasted less than 15 minutes, but most people said the president's visit, and especially his message on the environment, was worth the wait.
I think he sets a good tone for us here in Montana, because there's been some pressure to reduce some of the protections that we put in the 1970s. So I think it was a very good message for this respect.
Well, he gave a good, straightforward message. He gave a message that all of us should take to heart about our environment. I don't think some people did when you look at the garbage left on the lawn. But I voted for him, and I would vote for him again.
It was interesting, but I don't think that it was very clear about when he was going to start working and what he was exactly going to do. And I think that Helena needs more help in protecting their environment, because I think that we kill too much wildlife in the hunting season.
Still, there were some critical comments.
We would have rather seen someone like Jesse Jackson come, but
Oh well.
For Channel 12 News Today, I'm Mark Garay.
Security was tight around the president during his visit here. The Montana Highway Patrol only had one incident to report, and it turned out not to be much of an incident after all. According to Sergeant Clyde Miller of the MHP, the patrol and the Secret Service responded to reports of a man under the overpass on I-15 that crosses the railroad tracks. Miller says they found a man in that vicinity with a shotgun in his sleeping bag, but the gun turned out to be of legal length and the man had no outstanding warrants. Miller says authorities were convinced the man had no interest in doing any harm to anyone.
Before Bush left Helena, he held a press conference in the Montana Senate chambers. Several national and local media were on hand to ask the president various questions, ranging from relations with the Soviet Union to the Middle East. The press conference was covered live by NBC. On the subject of Eastern Europe, Bush told reporters that the U.S. remains willing and steady to assist East European countries move towards democracy. He also says the U.S. is granting a most favored nation trade status to Hungary. The move follows Hungary's decision to begin political reforms and allow East German refugees to cross its border to the west.
After 2.5 hours in Helena, President Bush boarded Air Force One at 3:45. Nearly 1,000 people waited for his limousine to return to the airport to catch a final glimpse of the president and wave goodbye. Mayor Russ Ritter says it's been a thrill for him as the mayor of the capital city to witness the president coming to Helena.
It's a great opportunity for this community to participate, not only the president being here, but celebrating our centennial as the capital city of Montana. And we're just very, very pleased that the president was able to work in his schedule due to the work, I guess, and no question about it, of the Centennial Committee. So it's just been a real team effort. We thought of this a couple years ago when we first started thinking about the Centennial, and today it's coming true, and we're just real pleased that the president has time in his schedule to visit the state of Montana, and especially, of course, the city of Helena.
Bush's visit to Helena not only highlights the state centennial, but will provide special memories for those who took part in today's event.
Coming up next in other news, people from various cultural backgrounds celebrate All Nations Week.
And the trial began today for two suspended SRS